there's a couple different reasons why you might want to consider getting into ostinatos. Number one, they're fun to play. Number two, they're totally relatable. It's probably the most relatable type of drum solo in any situation. So you don't really have to be a Berklee student to appreciate an ostinato. They're also great for practicing because they do a lot for your coordination, number one. Number two, separating your hands and feet. So if you're unfamiliar with what an ostinato is, I think I need to apologize ahead of time for the amount of times I might end up saying ostinato in this video. But if you don't know what one is, basically all it is a repetitive, rhythmic, or musical phrase. So the idea behind playing one on the drums is to play a particular repetitive pattern with the feet while doing whatever you want on top of it with the hands. So this takes a considerable amount of coordination and also independence between the hands and the feet to be able to play whatever you want to do on the top while you're sticking to a particular thing on the bottom. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to ostinatos, and I'm going to show you how to play your very first one. All right, so you ready? Here it is, man. It's the very first one. It's a very simple 8th note pattern, and it's right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Kick, hats, boom, chick, boom, chick. That's it. Now don't underestimate how simple this thing is. Because first of all, the more stuff you start to add up top, the more you start to realize, okay, wait a minute, it's a little bit harder than I thought. But the other thing too, man, the simplicity of this very simple ostinato, I mean, you can rock an entire arena for 10 minutes with this thing, especially if you're in a country band. So let's get into some simple ways that you can start to do this on the drums to slowly kind of ease your way into the whole idea. All right, so again, all you're gonna do is play 8 notes with the feet. So it's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's it. And then we're gonna do some different things over top. So the first one, exercise number 1, single strokes. You're just gonna play single strokes all over the drums on top of what you're doing with the feet. But this is what I want you to avoid. Don't just go while you're just going boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, all right? There's nothing musical about that. You want to be able to add dynamics. You want to be able to play with a little bit of intent when you do these, and think more of like this kind of shape while you're playing your singles. So you can start on the snare and then eventually just take it out to the toms and then just think musically while you're doing this. So relax the hands, relax the feet, find a comfortable tempo somewhere between like 90 and 100 beats per minute. And then, and yeah, just start up, man. Just launch into it and just start playing single strokes, hit a couple crashes, you know what I'm saying, to establish the top of the bar and just make it fun. Second thing, exercise number 2, single paradiddle. Very simple. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. You're going to do the same idea as you did with the singles. Start out on the snare and then start to distribute the accents to the toms. Again, while just doing 1 and 2 and with the feet. Now to some of y'all, this may be easy. To others, this is going to be deceptively difficult. So take your time with it, all right? It's important to not rush it. Muscle memory needs time to do its thing. So it's going to be a little tricky at first for some of y'all. Don't worry about it. It'll slowly start to work itself out. Now, for you players out there that are a little bit more advanced, here's a challenge for you. To make this particular one a little bit more difficult, one thing you can do is take that single paradiddle and displace it by a 16th note. So instead of starting it right on beat 1 or right on the downbeat, what you're going to do is start the paradiddle a 16th note either before or after the 1. Now the third thing that you can do with this, we're going to introduce a different note grouping in this exercise. Right now we're just sort of playing 16ths, nice and straight. But now we're going to add a 3-note grouping. So the sticking for this is simply just going to be right, left, left. So the 2 lefts are meant to be just played on the snare as ghost notes. And you're just going to distribute your right hand. Now this one is great because it creates movement over the downbeats, the bar lines, right? Because of the way the 3s move, you're going to be jumping over some of them. So this is going to be really cool for your ears as well. To be able to hear those 3-note groupings on top of the 4 is also going to do some good stuff for your timing. So it just kind of creates this sort of 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of movement, which in itself is pretty simple. But when you're playing that ostinato with the feet, then you might start to say, okay, wait a minute. This is kind of tricky. Now, 'cause 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 All right, so after you've gotten through the first three, and you can play those really well on their own, the next thing I want you to do is start to experiment with mixing them up. All right, so I'm going to show you two cool ways that you can start to connect these ideas. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to play the paradiddle, and we're going to connect that with the right, left, left. So 3-note grouping. So we have a 4-note grouping and a 3-note grouping, and this is all going to happen over top of the feet. So we're going to do this in a 4-bar loop. All right, so it's nice and even. So basically how it's going to work is we're going to play a single paradiddle for the first bar. And then right starting on the second bar, and then for the next three, we're going to play the right, left, left. So basically what that looks like is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. One more time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. All right. I'm only suggesting playing it that way right now because when you play it that way, everything fits nicely inside of a little 4-bar rectangle kind of thing. But this is very cool, man. It's super comfortable to practice. It's going to help separate the hands and the feet because of that 3-note grouping, because it's jumping over a couple of bar lines there. And it's also very practical. So I mean, you can do this as an exercise and run it for 10 or 15 minutes, but it's also something you can use on stage that's very musical. And then the second way to mix it up is to combine that right, left, left with the single strokes. So the same way you play the single strokes off the top, nice and musical, every once in a while, you're just going to go into that right, left, left. So you can play this the same way you did with the paradiddles, with that sort of 1 plus 3 kind of arrangement. Or better still, randomize them. So just start playing singles, and then every once in a while, just plug in that right, left, left kind of thing. And then just take it all over the drums and, you know, add your dynamics and all that kind of stuff. Play it as musical as you can. So there it is, man. It's your very first ostinato. So putting aside what we did with the hands, this is by far the easiest and probably most effective for any audience ostinato that you can play on the drums. But for now, you can use this as a practice tool to sort of work your way into it, number one, but better still, it's a great way to start separating the hands from the feet. And you can use this as sort of a gateway ostinato to a lot more of the crazy ones that you can get into later on. There are several different ways that we can make this super difficult, but I'm going to leave you with this for now, man. This should be enough for you to chew on. We can explore some other ideas down the line. But for now, have fun, man. Thanks for watching this video. Share it if you dig it. Hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out. Like, subscribe. See you next video.